Hello, my name is Jonathan Roberts, and today I'd like to talk to you about estimation. And the reason I'd like to talk to you about estimation is because I have found in the workplace many software developers do not understand why we estimate or how to estimate. And yet, estimation is something that is key to many agile frameworks and that many workplaces ask us to do. So, when we estimate, I want to first understand that we usually ask the wrong question. And that question is, how long will it take to develop the code? It's the question, it's the burning question that we really want to know, but it's not the right question. And the reason it's not the right question is because humans are really bad at estimating, especially estimating absolutely in time. We think uh, that it's just we're going to have a start, we're going to have a finish, and we're just going to go and there will be no problems. This has been documented in the academic research. We are bad at estimating. And so instead of asking how long will it take, the question we want to ask is how much effort is involved. And when we talk about effort, I introduce to you the story point. This is something you will hear about all the time in workplaces. Just like we use miles to understand length, we use story points to understand effort. But there are two pieces to story points that are absolutely critical to understand. And the first is they are an objective measure. So let's take this map for example. I live in Chandler and I have coworkers in Austin. A subjective measure would be how long does it take to go from Chandler to Austin? Now this is subjective because what are you picturing in your head? Am I going by car, bike, plane, rocket ship? Depending on my method, the amount of time will vary greatly, and that doesn't help us get to the ultimate goal. But an objective measure, how far is it from Chandler to Austin? Well, there's still some wiggle room there. Are we going by plane? Or are we going by car? By the crow, will be slightly different by the roads, but it's going to be generally the same. And that's all we're going for here is generally the same. So an objective measure considers volume, which is the total amount of work, the complexity, the amount of integration points, the knowledge that's on the team. Have we done this before? Is this the first time we're doing it? And the uncertainty, dependencies, risks that go along with it. Secondly, and I think most importantly that we forget, is that a story point must be a relative measure, relative to other story points, relative to other work that we are doing. So you will often see an example given of animals. So here you have an elephant and a cheetah. And so I ask the question, which weighs more? Well, that's easy. An elephant weighs more. And so when you weigh two stories, you ask that same question. You have one that's your goalpost, one that the team agrees this is a one, a three, or five, whatever. And you say, well, is this story bigger or smaller than that story? Is it the same? How much bigger or smaller is it than that story? That's when you know that you're doing a relative measure. So let's go back to the map. And let's say that you're not from the United States. You know nothing about the United States. And I ask you the question, how far is it from Chandler to Austin? Well, making a relative measure, I must have some knowledge of it. And so here I will give you, I can tell you it is 400 miles from Phoenix to Albuquerque. You look at this map, you see it, you know, well, it's less than half, so I'm going to say 1,000 miles. That's perfect. That's all you need to know to do relative estimation is roughly what is it going to be, and you're done. Okay, so our dying question we wanted to know was how long is it going to take? Well, story points can get you back to time. It's not the goal, but it can get you back to time. It deals with normalized story points, which is the team agrees. This is the story that we all know is a one, a three, or five, whatever. And then over time, a team develops how many story points they can do over usually a week or 2 weeks, known as the velocity. So just like if you have distance and you can tell me your speed, I can get the time. If I have something I need to type and I know my words like type per minute, I can get how long it's going to take. If I have a piece of code and I know a team's velocity, I can get back to the time. And then in practice, the way this usually works is we do the planning poker. So you get the team around a table. I've always done this over a computer. computer software. So everyone on the team has a voice. We use the Fibonacci scale, which the reason the Fibonacci scale is important is because it's roughly double every time, and the team members will eventually come to an agreement of how big a story is. But as you come to that agreement, it must be an objective measure, and it must be a relative measure for it to be meaningful. Thank you so much.